Sounds good.
Hello, everybody. This is Sree from Biz Buzz. What matters the most in your business? I'm coming with a new episode here and sponsored by My Work Belt. My Work Belt is a operational software, business operating system for us, particularly catering to service-based small businesses. If you have not looked at it, please check it out, and it will help you to gain some peace of mind. And today I have a great guest, Desco from Ontario, Canada. And Desco has been a lifetime coach, or lifestyle coach for particularly helping small businesses reducing on their stress levels and helping them to naturally put their strategies forward in improving their business or having a peace of time in their life. So, Desco, how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us on this call. And as you and I were talking about it, you have a very unique style of coaching the clients. Now, I how long you been doing the coaching?
So this specific coaching where working with CEOs and founders and helping them turn their stress into peace and then having them use that peace to make more joyous profits, like that's kind of been the last 5 years. But prior to that, I
Yeah.
owned a brick and mortar weight loss center for 10 years. So it's been a whole lot of time in a bunch of different coaching scenarios.
So you were a entrepreneur before you start coaching the entrepreneurs. So you
Correct.
learn from your experience and now you are helping others from your experience. That's a wonderful, wonderful approach. Many of business coaches, they are not entrepreneurs before. They simply pick up the business coaching and then start become a coach. But through under a certain brand or something, they go follow certain steps given by the brand. Now you have your own unique recipe. I'm so glad that you are sharing that with your clientele. Now, when we were talking, Desco, you were also mentioning that you do online, live coaching session. What does that mean? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically, entrepreneurs come to my podcast with a particular sometimes that starts off as a business problem, but very quickly it kind of revolves around, okay, well, what is the me problem behind the business problem? So most stressful situations that business owners have, in some way, shape, or form, they're contributing to that situation by something internal, right? So, simple example that comes up very often. I have trouble keeping my team accountable. Okay, well, that is a business stress for sure. But if internally you have a lot of people pleasing behaviors, people pleasing history, you have a hard time setting boundaries, or you have a fear of confrontation, that is going
Right.
to create a lot of stress internally for you that's going to translate into business problems that are never going to be fully 100% solved until you address the internal aspect of that. So I help them address that stressful internal aspect. And when that's more peaceful, it becomes a lot easier to then solve the business problem, basically operate from this place of peaceful
Right.
fuel rather than being driven by these stressful patterns.
Natural when we have a stress internally, our mind doesn't function with its optimal capacity. And then we can't make the right decisions that will lead us into a benefit for the business. Now, when you do this live coaching, what is the response from small businesses? Are they comfortable doing this or they're not comfortable? What do you feel?
Well, I mean, it's easy because it self-selects the people that are comfortable to share this publicly, right? So by the very nature of the invitation, it's like you either in this or not. And I get a lot of people who are like, well, it sounds great, but I hesitate to do this publicly, which I totally understand because people have
Sure.
established brands and that's fine. So in general, the people that want to do it and are ready to do it and are brave enough to do it, they step on and all of them get very good. I mean, like my website has a whole bunch of testimonials just from the
Right.
like podcast alone, from like ROI, like money in the bank ROI, to like
Mhm.
internal, I show up so much easier. This is no longer a stressful situation. So 260 episodes later, I think I'm doing something right in that regard, you know?
That's quite a lot of episodes. So my follow-up question to this, Desco, you're doing so many episodes and you have done such a long time. As a small business owner, what is your suggestion to them about podcasting?
Um, Ironically, I don't think I would be the best person to answer that question, mainly because my podcast is very much a reflection of me. Like it is uniquely designed around my gifts and my strengths. So the original reason why it started was when I decided to go into this type of coaching, I was looking at it from this like marketing frame of like, how do I deliver results up front? There's
Sure.
coaches everywhere. They all say more or less the same thing. So how do you discern whether or not somebody's good? So my mentality was, if I can't take a stranger and within the hour give them a breakthrough or an aha moment, then I probably
Hmm.
shouldn't be doing this to begin with. So the whole podcast actually started with me saying, okay, A, proving this to myself, and then B, those people that came onto the podcast had an experience that was transformative, that's going to do better than any marketing that I could possibly do. So a percentage of them became clients. That's been the primary way that I've gotten clients. So I always say like I have a six-figure business with like 17 listeners, which was my subscription at the time that I hit six figures doing this. Right. So it's
Right.
like you're starting the podcast to be popular. This is not the way to do it because the function of it is actually just to get a conversation with someone that has this potential problem and show them and demonstrate to them how I can help them, right? If I went into it of like, this is supposed to be popular, I don't necessarily think this is the way to do it. And it kind of goes into like, what problem are you, as the person deciding to start the podcast, trying to solve, right? Because there's different ways to solve that problem. I just
Hmm.
happen to fall into podcasting as a medium to basically coach and have people experience what I do, but it's not the traditional like I'm getting into this to get listeners and sponsorships and exposure. That's actually the next stage of my business, but it's like this core part of it had nothing to do with being a podcaster. It had more to do with just showing my expertise in a different way.
Now, in your experience, what is one tip that you would wanted to share with a small business owner on controlling their anxiety in a moment? Would that be like blowing into a brown paper bag, or is it anything more to it?
Yeah, so in that instance, I would say the thing you mentioned, like blowing with the brown paper bag or like the breathing, etc. Those are all coping mechanisms that are going to allow the stress response to decrease in the moment. They have
Hmm.
their time and place, and they are definitely something you need to keep in mind. But it's kind of like, do you want to continue coping with the anxiety, or do you want to get to the root of why that anxiety happens? And getting to the root of it is really analyzing. I go in depth with this in my programs. It's like analyzing and looking at the three levels of your identity of where the root of that is. Is it conscious in terms of like, what are the thoughts and the frames and the beliefs that I might hold that cause that anxiety, right?
Yeah.
The subconscious level, which is like the feeling level. So like I feel the anxiety. I know I shouldn't be feeling it here, but like I can't seem to do anything about it, right? Or the unconscious level where it's like I actually have no idea why I feel this way. It just pops up out of nowhere. Okay, well that's the nervous system level, and that's going to require a whole different set of tools. So to basically answer your question shortly, it's like one bucket is the coping bucket, which is where most people spend a lot of time on.
Hmm.
That's fine for in the moment. My main focus is you got to decide if you want to get to the root of this so it does not affect you anymore. You are not driven by this anymore.
Right.
Then it requires a different set of tools that work on the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious aspects of your identity.
So going through up and down on anxiety levels is not good for your mind, not good for your health, and at the end of the day, it's not good for your business as well. You may be able to address it at the moment by using one techniques, but what you're suggesting is you need to look at the root cause of it and then address the root cause of it in order to eliminate that anxiety coming back and forth through the course of your journey. Am I taking it right?
Yeah, that is exactly correct. And the flip side of that too is even if you do succeed, but you do it driven by like anxiety, like is that really the success that you wanted? Because a lot of the clients that I also
Right.
deal with is like they have climbed the mountain of the business. They're successful. Some have had exits, some have gotten funding, but it's like if you get to the top of a really hard mountain and the view at the top is very depressing, like have you really won the game that you wanted to play at the beginning? Right?
Sure.
So addressing the root cause ensures that even if you do succeed, you do it driven and fueled by peaceful aspects of yourself, not anxious aspects of yourself.
Sometimes the business owners feel lonely. When you get to certain level of success, you do feel lonely. And when that thought comes to mind, oh my God, I can't talk to anybody. I'm feeling lonely here. What do you suggest they should do?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is like you could feel lonely surrounded by a lot of people. So
Correct.
lonely and alone don't have like they're related, but they don't actually have to overlap. So what is the experience of loneliness? Okay, well, the experience of loneliness is one of a lack of connection. If I'm surrounded by a lot of people, but I still feel lonely, it's because I can't fundamentally, or a part of me does not
Right.
feel safe or okay to connect on a deeper level with the people around me. Now, the
Mhm.
roots of that are varied and deep, but in general, the primary thing is it has to start with a connection to yourself. So
Right.
if you yourself are always guarded, you have trust issues, you think people are out to get you, especially when you have success, it's a very
Hmm.
real thing that people are going to want, money from you, favors from you, whatever. Well,
Right.
it's very hard to connect with those people because you don't know what their intentions are. So oftentimes people will shield themselves from that,
Right.
which leads to the feeling and the experience of loneliness. But the core of it is some part of me does not feel safe with connection. And in order for me to establish that connection with other people, I first have to establish it with myself. I first have to be
Myself.
okay with myself. And then I can work on extending that to the outside world.
Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful response to that question. Thank you very much, Desco. So within this short period of time, we discovered multiple things here. So anxiety can be multiple ways, but in the best way to handle the anxiety is to identify the root cause of it and clear the root cause of it. Then you have a long lasting relief from getting anxiety. And if ever a small business owner or for that matter, any leader feel lonely, I mean, it does happens because of the success with you going through. You may be surrounded with many people, but you still be able to feel, you still be feeling lonely. And in order to address that, first you need to be able to connect with yourself before you have connections with others and feel safe to share anything. And that's a wonderful technique. And thank you very much for sharing those with us today. And greatly appreciate your time here on the call with us, Desco. I look forward to talking to you again. And thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.